And now, ladies and gentlemen, from the heart of the Inland Empire, right here in sunny Southern California, it's Robert Cardoza Live, where we talk about politics, money, and you. This is the intersection of business and politics, and now here's your host, Robert Cardoza.
And welcome aboard. I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza Live on the street at the intersection of business and politics, where we talk about politics, money, news, and you. We do that every day, Monday through Friday, from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Pacific time. On today's show, we're going to talk about what we always talk about, what's in the news, the new legislation, the IRS Loses, and we'll continue our segment to tribute to the great late Paul Harvey and the rest of the story. Today's story is going to be McKeeby's portrait. You're not going to want to miss that. Lots of good things going on there. And then also today we're going to be having our own Sean LaFave. He'll be here, and Sean and I will be talking about healthcare and a lot of other things. God only knows what Sean and I are going to talk about, but I can guarantee you it'll be the fastest hour you've ever experienced. It's always a wonderful experience to be with Sean. We're with him twice a week, every Tuesday and Thursday. So we get together on his segment called Geared for Wellness. But right now, what I really want to talk to you about is the weather at 3:01 p.m. Pacific time. It's currently 51 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. Well, it's on its way down to 42 degrees, but I can tell you it has been liquid sunshine out here. It's been raining, since the wee hours of the morning. And it's going to continue raining all the way through tomorrow, I understand, probably maybe into Saturday. So we'll see what's going on with that. Now, though, let's talk about the news. And boy, have we got a ton of it. Right off the top, watchdog to probe Comey's FBI actions before the election. In yet another aftershock from the chaotic presidential campaign, the Justice Department Inspector General opened an investigation today into department and FBI actions before the election, including whether FBI Director James Comey followed established policies in the email investigation of Hillary Clinton. Democrats have blamed Comey's standing of the inquiry into Clinton's use of a private email server in his late October public letter about the case as one reason for her loss to the Republican Donald Trump. Well, workers are now putting final touches on preparations for next week's Inauguration Day, the festivities anyway, and the new probe will not change the election results, but it revives questions of whether the FBI took actions that might have influenced the outcome. IG Michael Horowitz, the department's internal watchdog, will direct the investigation, which comes in response to requests from members of Congress and the public. Comey said he was pleased about the review, and the FBI would cooperate fully with the Inspector General. Yep, you know what? And it should. I don't know if he did anything wrong or he didn't do anything wrong, but I can tell you it's a mess, right? Sure it is. Well, CIA nominee agrees Russia tried to interfere with the election. Donald Trump's pick to run the CIA told Congress today that he accepts the findings in an intelligence assessment that Russia interfered with the United States election with the goal of helping Trump win, even though the president-elect has been skeptical of some of the report's conclusions. Everything that I've seen suggests to me that the report has an analytical product that is sound, said Mike Pompeo, a Kansas Republican congressman. His comments struck a different tone than those of his future boss, who called the focus on Russia and the election a political witch hunt before he was even briefed on the findings. Trump, for the first time on Wednesday, acknowledged that Russia was behind the computer hacking that targeted Democrats during the 2016 campaign. As head of the CIA, Pompeo would be responsible for bringing to Trump intelligence assessments that the president may find politically unappealing, including additional information on Russia's interference with the American democratic process. Pompeo promised senators on the Intelligence Committee that he would do so. Period. That's it. He says his obligation as director of the CIA is to tell every policymaker the facts as best the intelligence agency has developed them. Pompeo said he is currently a member of the House Intelligence Committee. Well, we will see, we shall see more like it, right? Sure. Well, how about this? GOP leaders look to an early health care bill, and details are kind of vague, though. Under mounting pressure from Donald Trump and rank-and-file Republicans, congressional leaders are talking increasingly about chiseling an early bill that dismantles President Barack Obama's health care law and begins to supplant it with their own vision of how the nation's $3 trillion a year medical system actually should work. Yet, even as Republicans said that they will pursue their paramount 2017 goal aggressively, leaders left plenty of wiggle room today about exactly what they will do. Their caution underscored persistent divisions over how to recraft a law that they've tried erasing since its 2010 enactment, plus their desire to avoid panicking the 20 million people who've gained coverage under Obama's overhaul or unsettling health insurance markets. In an interview with the conservative radio host Mike Gallagher, House Speaker Paul Ryan, a Republican from Wisconsin, said that the initial repeal and replace legislation will be the primary part of our health care policy and would be followed by other bills. Later, he told reporters at the Capitol that while Republicans will work quickly, we're not holding hard deadlines only because we want to get it right. Well, makes sense to me, doesn't it? I can tell you that Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, the Republican from Kentucky, said the early repeal bill would begin to make important progress. He said Republicans plan to take on the replacement challenge in manageable pieces with step-by-step reforms that he set no timetable for. Well, you know what? Is it my imagination, or does it sound like they're actually getting a little reasonable? I have to wait and see. I'm not sure about that. Well, you know what? Obama's making changes to the Cuban immigration policy. President Barack Obama is ending a long-standing immigration policy that allows any Cuban who makes it to the United States soil to stay and become a legal resident, a senior administration official said just today. The repeal of the wet foot, dry foot policy is effective immediately, according to official. The decision follows months of negotiations focused in part on getting Cuba to agree to take back people who had arrived in the United States. The U.S. and Cuba plan to issue a joint statement later today. The official insisted on anonymity in order to detail the change ahead of the announcement. The official said that the Cubans gave no assurances about treatment of those sent back to the country, but said political asylum remains an option for those concerned about persecution if they return. Well, that doesn't sound so bad. Of course, who knows what really is going to happen? Certainly we don't. You know what? Let's take us a short break, and then when we come back, I want to talk to you about in eastern Mosul. There are small signs of progress amid the fighting, and I'm going to tell you all about that after these brief messages. So don't go away. We got a lot of, man, I want to tell you, we got a fantastic show for you today, so don't go anywhere.
If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. You know, nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, you know Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Lineberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchased high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, They're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now from Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza Live on the Street at the intersection of business and politics. And we're talking news. Yeah, you know what? In eastern Mosul, small signs of progress amid the fighting. Small stalls and carts have sprung up outside the bombed-out buildings in eastern Mosul, selling meat and vegetables, cigarettes, and cell phones to the thousands of civilians still living in neighborhoods where the Iraqi military has driven out the Islamic State group. As the grinding military operation enters its fourth month, about a third of the northern city is under government control, while more than 100,000 people have fled the fighting. Many have remained despite no electricity or running water. Zaid Khalid sells frozen chicken from a stall in the main traffic circle at the Zahur neighborhood. Every morning he takes a bus to the easternmost edge of Mosul to buy the poultry in a market. Because there's no power, he must sell his whole supply each day or lose money. Slowly, as people are able to go back to work, life will return to normal step by step, he said. On the edge of the neighborhood, hundreds of people must cross a makeshift bridge to buy food and water or reach medical aid. Islam Faidi Yunis lives just a few blocks from the front line. He wheeled his elderly mother across the bridge today in search of a doctor after she began to have trouble. She had problems breathing is what was going on. His family waited in their home for days before fighting subsided enough to venture out on the streets. That is what he said anyway. And on Tuesday, Lieutenant General Talib Sagadi told the Associated Press the whole city would be recaptured from ISIS in another 3 months or less. When the operation began in October, Iraqi leaders had predicted they would retake the city before 2017 began. But progress has been slow amid fierce counterattacks from extremists. Although buses, taxis, and private cars have begun to clog the streets, armored military vehicles wind through the traffic. And a reminder that the battle is not far away. Well, you know what? That's actually kind of sad, right? Sure it is. Well, here's one for you, something that's not sad. I don't care if you're a Republican or if you're a Democrat. This is something that's well-deserved. Obama awards Biden the Presidential Medal of Freedom. President Barack Obama awarded Vice President Joe Biden with the highest civilian honor today, commemorating an extraordinary man with an extraordinary career in public service. A teary-eyed Biden accepted the Presidential Medal of Freedom at a ceremony at the White House dedicated to honoring the outgoing vice president. Obama said that he is bestowing the honor on Biden for faith in your fellow Americans, for your love of country, and a lifetime of service that will endure through the generations. Biden praised his wife and children for their support throughout his career and praised the Obama family for their dedication dedication to country and service. I was part of the journey of a remarkable man who did remarkable things, Biden said. Speaking ahead of Biden, Obama said that the tribute will give the internet one last chance to joke about the bromance that the two share. He called Biden the best possible choice, not just for me, but for the American people. Obama commended the Biden heart, listing the influences in Biden's life from the nuns who taught him in grade school to his Senate colleagues to his parents. Noting that Biden's career is nowhere close to finished, Obama said his vice president will go on to have an impact in the United States and abroad. Well, you know what? I don't think there's any doubt of that at all. You know what? A reward well earned, I think. Absolutely. Well, suspected airport gunman's life is unraveled over the past year. You know what? Esteban Santiago stood alone in the cold one day last month outside Mom and Pop's liquor store in Anchorage. He was waving his arms and having a terrible argument in the parking lot. He'd just been talking to himself, screaming as if he was having a battle with himself, said Naomi Harden, a clerk at the store situated across the street from the motel where Santiago lived. Last week, Santiago got off a one-way flight from Anchorage at the airport in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, arriving with a single piece of checked luggage, a Walter 9mm semi-automatic handgun in the case. He took the gun out in the bathroom, loaded it, and opened fire in the baggage claim area, killing 5 people and wounding 6, police said. After emptying 2 clips, Santiago lay down on the floor and was arrested. Authorities say he now faces a possible death sentence if convicted. He has yet to enter a plea and is awaiting the assignment of a public defender to his case. Investigators are trying to establish the motive for the attack. The 26-year-old Iraq war veteran was usually quiet and solitary figure. Those who knew and worked with him said, but over the past year, he grew increasingly violent, interviews and records show, and in recent weeks, Santiago was seen screaming into the night from his motel window, Harden said. Santiago grew up in Peñuelas, Puerto Rico, a once thriving middle-class town of 20,000 where people worked in the petrochemical plants that have since closed. Those who knew him described an intelligent and patriotic boy who joined the Puerto Rico Army National Guard in 2007. Wow. Can you imagine? And then have his legacy be this? I don't even know what to say. You know what? Well, more than 40% of California is out of the drought. More than 40% of California is out of the drought. Federal drought watchers said today at the tail end of a powerful storm that sent thousands of people fleeing from flooding rivers in the north, unleashed burbling waterfalls in southern deserts, and doubled the vital snowpack in the Sierra Nevada in little more than 1 week. Declaring California as a whole to be past its official 3-year drought emergency will be up to Governor Jerry Brown. We call him Governor Moonbeam here, who will probably wait until the end of the winter rain and snow season to make that decision. But for people in northern cities, such as Sacramento, where state workers opened floodgates to ease pressure on levees for the first time in a dozen years, releasing a 2-mile-wide torrent of excess water from the surging Sacramento River and call on declaring the dry spell over in Northern California, looked much clearer. It's hard to say that we have a drought here right now, said Jay Lund, director of the Center for Watershed Sciences at the University of California, Davis. Lund spoke as he returned from taking students to see the wrenched open century-old floodgates in Sacramento, which got its heaviest rain in 20 years this week. The weekly drought report by federal and academic water experts showed 42% of the state had emerged from drought. This time last year, only 3% of the California was out of the drought. Southern California, which is also receiving welcome rain from the storm, remains in drought but experienced a dramatic reduction in severity. Just 2% of the entire state, a swath between Los Angeles and Santa Barbara, remains in the sharpest category of drought that includes drying wells, reservoirs, and streams and widespread crop losses. 43% of the state was in that direst category this time a year ago. You know what? Let's just hope let's just hope that it's over, right? That's exactly what I'm thinking. Let's just hope that it's over. Now, I'll tell you what is over. The news is over. We're going to take another short break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about something a whole lot more pleasant. We're going to talk about the IRS Loses. And the first case today is the IRS's failure to pay taxes was not willful. That's what the claimant is saying anyway. And I'm going to tell you all about that right after these brief messages. So, God, don't go away. We'll be right back.
Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses, website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful in visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make The Interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, Gentle Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39, a complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay. A great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino. Joel Saltzman is Dr. Wireless. He has turned his considerable expertise into consumer credit risk and wireless security into a highly specialized independent web-based consulting enterprise targeting consumer credit risk analysis and wireless transactional security and monitoring. He works as a wireless analyst, veteran independent agent, and consumer liaison for most wireless telecom carriers and equipment manufacturers. For more than 20 years, corporate and private clients and media audiences have counted on his unvarnished advice while weighing the technology, performance, and cost differences between Sprint, Nextel, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Joel specializes in setting up mobile wireless hotspots to be used for disaster preparedness, business continuity, and mobile wireless merchant processing solutions. Call Dr. Wireless at 310-400-4900 or go to his webpage at drwireless.com. Again, call 310-400-4900 or his webpage at drwireless.com. You'll be glad you did. And now, back to our show.
The story you are about to see is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza Live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. And boy, it's been a great show. The news has been phenomenal today. Not all good, but not all bad either. But right now, I want you to know that at 3:24 p.m. Pacific time, currently 50 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. But get this, it's on its way down to 25 degrees. And you know what? It's been raining outside. It's been pouring, as a matter of fact, which means that if it continues this, and it's supposed to continue it through tomorrow, we may have some snow out here. That'll be something new down where we're at. Certainly the mountains behind the studio here always show some snow-capped peaks, but that's something different. Well, if you're listening to us on our globally syndicated network and you're in New York City, 61 degrees and overcast. And if you're in Chicago, Illinois, here's a difference for you, 25 degrees and mostly cloudy. But right now, what I want to talk to you about is something that'll put a smile on your face. I want to talk to you about the IRS Loses. In the first case, failure to pay taxes was not willful. Now, here's the deal. A business owner who owed back taxes declared bankruptcy, but the IRS said that his non-payment was willful because he had improved his home and bought a luxury car while his tax bill mounted. So it could not be discharged. He went to court. This is what the judge said. The individual had income of more than $1 million and owed $5 million of stock on margin when the stock market crash took place. This was back in 9/11. The attacks and the recession suddenly wiped out his stocks and cut his business income by 75%. He had committed to the personal expenditures earlier and had mistakenly believed that he could deduct his stock losses to offset his tax bill. There was no evidence of any wrongdoing attempt or avoid the taxes, so they were dischargeable in the bankruptcy, and as they should be. It's just the IRS trying to squeeze blood out of a turnip in this case. Well, here's another case the IRS lost. Must pay for delaying a refund. I'm talking about the IRS now. Here's the deal. Dino Grisanti entered an installment agreement with the IRS to pay taxes owed by a business that he had purchased and avoided by agreement, but the IRS seized a $17,000 refund owed him anyhow. So Grisanti went to court to get the refund, and the IRS then paid it. Grisanti then asked to have the IRS pay his legal fees. The IRS answer to that was the award isn't justified because it had never rejected the refund claim and, in fact, paid it soon after the court filing. Well, this is what the judge said. The IRS sat on that refund for 2 years, giving checking is in the mail excuses like a lot of people do. And it seemed no coincidence that the refund was granted only after the court filing. Legal fees are going to be awarded along with interest that the IRS owes on that. Well, let's talk about a concession the IRS made, and you've heard me say it many times. They only concede when they're pretty sure they can't prevail in tax court. This is one of those situations. And it is that a company owner can make restorative payments to a retirement plan. Now, it sounds kind of weird, but listen to it. It'll make sense to you. An individual owned one company with 2 retirement plans in which he was the sole participant, and another company that he had many employees in that retirement plan. Now, here's the snag. The trustee of the latter plan embezzled a large amount from it. Federal regulators said that the owner was the beneficiary of the depleted plan who could face legal action as a result. So the remedy? To avoid government lawsuits, the owner proposed to transfer the assets in his own 2 retirement plans to the depleted plan as a restorative payment. So the IRS's ruling was, the payment is permitted and will not be a contribution to the employee's plan, which would affect its status or their taxes. It is a taxable distribution, but it's also getting an offsetting business deduction because of making the contribution. So it's kind of a no-brainer in this case. Well, you've heard me talk about being a fly on the wall when the IRS is doing stuff. It's where we're at right now with this segment that we call Inside the IRS. It's a whole lot like The Twilight Zone. Oh, yeah. Now, these are not actual tax court cases, but these are things that the IRS is doing that if you know about it, you can always use it to your advantage. You know, there's nothing more valuable than information. I can tell you that, and that's for sure. But here's a little bit of information for you. It's about filing your tax return while you're under an audit. You know what? And a lot of people do that. And it is generally not advisable to file an income tax return while you're under or in the middle of an audit. The reason is really simple. The revenue agent can decide to extend the scope of that audit to include the most recent year filed and raise the issue of additional adjustments. So what do? You file an extension and hope that the examination is completed before the extended due date of that return. Now, if you run out of time, make sure that the tax return that you file is absolutely correct and does not contain any aggressive deductions. Now, a plain vanilla tax return is unlikely to be examined. If you want to take an aggressive position, you can always consider filing an amended return after the examination is closed. You're going to have 3 years to file that amended return, so you're kind of in the driver's seat here. Just use your head and don't be more aggressive than you need to be. How about this? Taxing you on income not paid until after you die. Sounds kind of strange, doesn't it? Well, the IRS is able to rely on a provision in the tax law known as income in respect to a decedent, or IRD. Now, this permits the IRS to levy income tax separate and apart from estate tax on money that your estate or beneficiary receives after you die. Now, commissions and bonuses that a decedent had earned at the time of his or her death, but were not paid until after the death, are common examples of IRD. Now, such payments would be taxable to the estate or to the legatee of the estate to whom they are paid. There's a tax break, though. Federal estate tax paid that is attributable to the IRD can be taken as an itemized income tax deduction by the beneficiary, and that kind of mitigates anything that the IRS might want to do there. But just remember, I say it every single day. If the IRS thinks they can get away with it, they're going to do it. They have no obligation to be true or honest with you. They're allowed to lie, just like the police are in an investigation. Now, don't go away, because when we come back, we're not going to tell any lies. We're going to be with my good buddy, Sean LaFave, in his Geared for Wellness Corner, and you don't want to miss it. We're going to have a full hour of God only knows what, and he's not sure, and he's not talking about it, so you better stick around to find out. We'll be right back with Sean.
If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. You know, nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, you know Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Lineberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchased high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson & Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson & Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson & Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you. And now, ladies and gentlemen, coming to you from his personal meditation lounge in Orange County, California, a professional dedicated to conquering many chronic conditions from autism to weight loss and everything in between. The nationally recognized wellness coach, consultant, and lecturer, Sean LaFave, in his Geared for Wellness Corner.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 3:35 p.m. Pacific time. It's currently 50 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in, liquid sunshine, California. It's on its way down to 25 degrees. So that means if this rain keeps coming, we might get some snow down here at the bottom of the mountains instead of at the top. And if you're listening to us on our syndicated global network and you're in Cleveland, Ohio, well, it's 33 degrees and it's overcast. But you know what? It could get worse than that. You could be in Wichita, Kansas, where it's 29 degrees and mostly cloudy. But you know what keeps you warm? My good buddy, Sean LaFave. Hey, Sean, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. It's what else keeps you warm is paying the gas bill.
You what?
What else keeps you warm is paying the gas bill.
Oh, yes. The gas and electric and
gas and electric. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Hey, but I can tell you, I was successful at catching the two mosquitoes.
Catching the two mosquitoes.
Yeah, because the animals are lining up 2 by 2 out here to board the ark.
The mosquitoes, the ark.
But here's the problem. The ark hasn't set sail yet, and I only got 2 of these mosquitoes. There's a number more.
Well, there can't be that many more, right?
Well, not where I'm at, because they can't. They can't fly over the mountains. The mountains are too high. They're all in the San Joaquin Valley.
I used to live in Colorado Springs, and that was one of the things that I loved there. Was seriously the altitude. We have very few bugs. The only bugs that we really had there that just creeped me out were, I don't know, I'm sure there's probably a real name for them, but I always call them earwigs.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man, they just, they get a little pincher in the back, and they're everywhere. Yeah, I hated those things. I never got pinched by one or bitten or whatever they call it, but I was always paranoid that one would get in my ear someday. And
that was one of the few bugs that I could step on and not feel squeamish about.
Oh yeah, not at all. Yeah, I'm not afraid of very many things, but one of them that just really creeps me out is the thought of a bug getting in my ear, especially one with big old pinchers like that.
Oh yeah. Well, you ever wake up in the morning and you've got a spider spite. I've got biter spites everywhere. You got biter spites everywhere. Yeah, me too. But you wake up in the morning, you got a spider bite on your neck, or maybe it's on your eyelid. You're thinking, oh my God, and I slept through this thing. Where else could they have got me? Could they have crawled into my ear? Could they have done any number of things? You worry about them crawling up your nose or in your mouth if you sleep with your mouth open. And you start thinking about that and you get paranoid.
I read a statistic sometime, I can't remember it all. Maybe I'll look it up on the break and I can see if I can find it before we start the next segment. But I read a statistic that said that the average person eats, and I can't remember how many spiders it is, but it's a significant amount. It's not like hundreds, but it's enough to make you go yuck. But it eats so many spiders per year because they crawl in your mouth while you're sleeping, and you close your mouth and chew them up and eat them.
So we must win that battle then, right?
Yeah, so I guess as long as the spider hasn't eaten me, I'm still winning. Right.
Hey, listen. So what's on the agenda for today? Are we just going to kibitz a bit?
Well, I know we were going to talk about detox.
Yes.
Detox has been on my brain a lot lately, and
the process is what I'd love to hear about, because a lot of people, they hear the word detox and they think in terms of just maybe drug abuse or alcohol abuse or things like that. But that's not the kind of detox you're talking about, is it?
Yeah. No, we're not talking Betty Ford Clinic here.
Yeah.
Is the Betty Ford Clinic still around? I don't know.
Oh, yeah. Palm Desert. Yeah, absolutely.
It is, okay. But
she's not, but it is.
She's not, but the building is still around. That's a good thing. So it's all about detoxing the body from just general toxins, all the stuff in the air, pesticides and heavy metals and the foods that we eat and all these different toxins that can get in our bodies that really shouldn't be there. And it's funny, when I've still yet to come up with a good answer that I find to be a suitable answer when people ask me, what do you do for a living? Because inevitably...
you help people. That's what you do for a living.
Yeah, I help people. And then they're like, well, what do you mean you help people? I've never found an answer that people went, oh, that's fascinating. Sometimes they might say that. But when I tell people, I operate a detox program, the answers or the comebacks or the questions that I get afterwards are always just somewhat perplexing. Like I'll get people who go, oh, I juice all the time. And I'm going... Where did juicing? I understand that people think that juice is good for you. Maybe it'll help move stuff through your bowels, and that's about it. But so I get that one a lot. People go, oh, I juice. And I'm like, well, juicing is not really a detox. There are some things that if you juice them, they help your body detox a little bit better. But it's not really a detox. And I'll get people that will say, they'll ask me, the first question is usually, well, what's the product? As if I only have one, right? Yeah. What is the product that you sell?
You probably ought to answer the question, Sean, of when you detox, does it detox you from everything, or do you actually target certain things in your detox program, which creates the necessity for different products?
Yeah, and I've tried to come up with an answer kind of similar to what you just said there. Something like I operate a cellular detox program that emphasizes on heavy metals detox, and it's funny. I was at I was at an RDN meeting, and do you remember just a beautiful young gal? Her name was Mari. That used to go to him all the time. Anyway, I was talking to her, and she had her little booth set up, and she sold isogenic stuff. And the guy next to her had his booth set up, and he was selling this chocolate stuff that he was selling. And her and I had already been talking before about detox programs and stuff, and she was very interested, and she knew that she needed some detox stuff, and we were on the conversation about heavy metals. And the guy next to her in the booth, who I didn't know, he said, he goes, oh, you got heavy metals? He goes, you need to start eating our chocolate, because this chocolate will pull the heavy metals out of your body. And normally when people say something stupid like that, I'm usually very tactful in my response. And I looked at him and I said, you know what? I'm going to give you a bit of advice here, buddy. I said, I don't know you, but I said, I can guarantee you don't have a clue what you're talking about. I said, you're making claims that you can't back up, and that's the problem people have with multi-level businesses. Yeah. I said, I guarantee you this stuff is not going to pull heavy metals out of your body. I said, I know what does, and I know what doesn't. And I said, what does is not in your chocolate. And he just kind of looked at me like, oh, wow, okay. But and I just kind of, sometimes you just get tired of people making claims that are completely false. And unfortunately, baseless claims. Yeah, exactly. And unfortunately, there's a lot of good multi-level businesses out there. There's a lot of really good multi-level products out there. Mm-hmm. The problem is you get them in the hands of people who just, they just want to make a quick buck, and they'll say anything they can to get this stuff sold, and on and on. And what I found is that my biggest quote-unquote competition out there is typically the multi-level businesses, because they make all these detox claims, just like this guy did with his chocolate. I've seen juices that make these claims. I've seen, all kinds of different things that claim for, detox and cleansing and on and on. And really, I've not found, there's only one multi-level ever that I saw that even did a good job, let alone a thorough job. And so that's the question I get the most, is people go, well, what's your product that you sell? Because they assume that it's a multi-level. And some people will come up and go, oh, is this multi-level? I'm going, no, it's not multi-level. I've been doing this for 10 years. It's a customized program that I do for each individual person. And it's really interesting, what people's conceptions or misconceptions are of detox. And of course, people think of a colon cleanse that was really popular 50 years ago, and that still is still pervasive today, that people think, oh, you do a colon cleanse, and that's, I think, where they come up with the Q stuff, is they think that you're going to drink stuff that's going to flush out your system, or maybe after that they got into liver cleanses, you're going to do stuff to cleanse your liver. And it's like, well, your liver actually is designed to cleanse.
Hey, you know what, Sean? That just brings up a question, and I know I'm going to regret asking this question. I just know that I'm going to. Years ago, and I don't know why I haven't had one since, but it's because my doctor doesn't give it to me. I had not a colonoscopy. Yeah, is that what it is? Colonoscopy, where they. Yeah,
where they put a scope up here.
Yeah. Anyway,
sounds like a lot of fun. I've never had one, but it sounds like
it's a pain in the ass. I want to tell you anyway. They give you this gallon of liquid to drink, and you've got to drink this liquid. And I want to tell you, you better be standing at the bathroom door when you drink this. You drink it at about 8 ounces or 16 ounces at a time, something like that. And boy, it just flushes you. I mean, just flushes you. And at the end of this whole process, you've got to take a couple of fleet enemas. Now, this sounds strange, but does that detox you in any kind? I know that's not the reason they're doing it, but does that have any effect for flushing toxins out of your body?
Yeah, and it does. And there's nothing wrong with doing that would actually.
I'm not suggesting you do that. I'm going to tell you that it is not pleasant. I want to tell you right now.
Yeah, I can't imagine. That still would be a form of detox because it is cleansing the colon and it's going to wash out. We get stuff that, our intestines, have folds in it. They're not just like this nice, smooth, tube that twists and turns and runs through the body. It's actually got folds and viola and all these little creases inside of it that things collect inside of there. And so actually in some cases, for some people, doing a colon cleanse is almost necessary, and in fact, there are places, I know there's one just north of San Diego for sure.
But it's not as thorough as what you've been talking about, right?
It's not as what?
It's not as thorough. It only takes care of that one aspect where you're talking about.
It's just going to take care of that one aspect, right? Exactly. It's just going to clean out the gut is what it's going to do, and sometimes that's necessary. There are places, retreats that you can go to where literally they give you enemas. There's actually another hydro something, or I can't think what it's called now, where they actually put a tube up and they actually hose out, like with a constant stream of water to flush out your colon and your large intestine. And I know they're retreating. You go in and you get this done like multiple times every day, and people think that they come back and they feel amazing. And I'm sure it probably helps, but it's still a very temporary fix, because what happens is the body dumps toxins. Whenever your body gets toxic, it gets toxic all the way down to the cell level. It gets toxic in the brain. It gets toxic everywhere. And when the body's pulling toxins out, it dumps them in the gut. And so they always got to go through the gut. They go through the liver. They go through the kidneys, and your body's got to get rid of them.
So every detox program then has a portion of it that makes you clear your gut, right? Because everything winds up there, that's where it's got to leave from, right?
Exactly, and that's actually when I start a person on a true detox program, the first thing that I address is the gut always, because that's where everything ends. If that's not working right, the rest of the processes are just going to get all backed up.
Okay, so that begs another question, and I know I'm interrupting you, and I really am sorry.
No, it's great.
But Sean, if you start there, and that's because that's where everything kind of ends up and dumps, and then you get into this detox program of denuding your body of heavy metals and things like you're describing, aren't you then just shoving more stuff into the gut that you've got to flush again?
Yeah, but what you do is you give the gut what it needs, and typically you're talking, a good gut microbiome, like we talked about on the show before. All the good bacteria. That's what you really need to process all this stuff. Is the gut needs to be healthy. A lot of people who have gut issues, and they are caused sometimes by just an over dumping of toxins into the gut, is they have an overgrowth of, and I hate to use the word bad bacteria, because there really is no bad. There's just some that we get too many of, and you want to have a good balance of bacteria in your gut, but you get the ones that are more useful. They kind of get squashed a little bit. The ones that aren't as useful. In fact, there are some that are necessary in the gut for the gut to function, because there's a symbiotic thing going on. But if you get too many of them, what they do is they rob you of nutrition. They don't do their job very well, and they don't do they do their job fine, but they don't do the job of processing the food that you eat or helping cleanse out the gut for all the garbage that gets stuck in there. And so what you do is you're going to be dumping toxins in the gut. So you address that by cleaning out the gut, maybe doing what they call a pathogen purge, where you almost kill off all of the bacteria in the gut at some point. Some people, what you could do is you can start off with a beef bone broth fast, where they drink nothing but beef bone broth for 4 days. And what that does is it starves out all of the bacteria, even the good stuff. And then you repopulate the gut with using probiotics. You can use fermented foods and those kind of things. There's some stuff you can take that will help your body repopulate the good bacteria. And then once the gut's good, then you can start addressing other areas of detox. Like you want to address, and during this time, you're going to even be addressing the liver. You're going to be addressing the kidneys. And those are I look at the kidneys, the liver, and the gut as kind of like the end results of detox, before everything gets expelled from the body. And really, you kind of think of detox in 3 phases, and this is why we address the gut first.
Okay, but at some point, because I understand what you're saying here, but at some point, you're going to be all done with this, right? And how long before you have to go through it again?
Well, if you take care of yourself, if you eat well, and you're living a healthy life, and I don't know, maybe being in LA.
Let's just assume you're a normal human being, and that's not what you're going to do. Is detox something that you should be thinking about on an annual basis?
Yeah, I would say on an annual basis. For me, I know I like to make sure that I replenish all the things that my body needs to detox on a regular basis.
So in a program like you're talking about, one that you're customizing for an individual, you're actually not only detoxing them, but you're replacing all of that detoxing material with good bacteria so that you stay healthy for at least a period of time.
Right, exactly, and the body's good at reproducing the things that it needs. Like one of the key agents for detox is called glutathione. Now, glutathione is considered the mother of all antioxidants. It's the most powerful antioxidant in the world. But the problem with it is it doesn't do well when you take it orally. It doesn't survive the gut very well. You can do it. You can get it compounded into a cream and rub it on your skin, and it's a little bit better that way. Excuse me. But the best way is to, it takes glycine, glutamine, and N-acetylcysteine. Those are the 3 amino acids that build glutathione. Well, if you take those can be absorbed by the body. The body can take those and build its own glutathione. What they call intracellular.
Now we've got to stop, because you talked about all these $30 words that you've been throwing at us, and I'm sure that everybody's like me and hasn't got a damn clue what the hell you're talking about. Is there something that all of this is contained in that we would recognize the name of?
Well, as far as what I just talked about, you can get that in foods that are, certain foods will have it for sure, but for the average person, it's easiest to just get it in a supplement form.
Gotcha.
So yeah, I use a product specifically called G-Cell that works really well. But in the long run, you don't want to. The goal is not to be dependent on supplements for the rest of your life. I think nowadays we live in such a toxic world that we're going to have to cycle supplements. You're probably going to be. It's just like it used to be. The thing was take a multivitamin. Well, it's kind of beyond taking just a multivitamin. We need a little bit more than that. And so you want stuff for cellular regeneration, things to help with detox, and so on. And so, yeah, I would say, supplementation is something that the average person is probably going to have to do. I know I'm going to do it for life. It's going to be as arduous and as intense as it is when a person starts a program for the first time. No, of course not. Nobody wants to live like that. I sure don't. But getting the body balanced, that's the problem. Is the vast majority of people that I work with, they have lived, decades of eating the foods they shouldn't eat, breathing air that's toxic, whether it's the pesticides here in Kansas or the smog in LA or whatever the case might be. We're breathing in. I mean, there's lead in the air and on and on, and so we're breathing all this stuff in. We're putting shampoo on our body that has chemicals in it, or soaps that we use, or women are using makeup that's very toxic, or whatever you're working in some sort of a factory that's got toxins. And so, these things just build up over time. And what happens is the things like I talked about, glutathione, that glutathione depletes because it's been trying to detox your body, and other factors deplete. The cell membrane around each individual cell becomes congested because the toxins build up. And so when you first go through a detox program, you're going to hit it hard and cleanse all that, get all that regenerated, get all that cleaned out. And then you just have to understand that, maybe some changes, eating those organic foods as opposed to eating McDonald's, are going to prevent you from getting back to where you were before.
So when you put somebody on a detox program, it's going to be for a variety of toxins that you're going to try and purge from the body. How long a program? I mean, is this a program that takes a weekend? It takes a week? It takes a month? It takes 3 months? What are we talking about here?
Yeah, I would say for the average person, you're talking a minimum of 3 months. And it's funny. I give people all the time. They want to do you have like a 10-day detox program. I'm like, no, I don't have a 10-day detox program. I couldn't do anything in 10 days. I could maybe find something that might make you feel a little bit better. But most people, I don't see any real significant results in less than probably, I don't know, a month for sure. A month is when usually most people, you'll start to see them going, okay, I feel better. But 3 months before you see significant improvement. If it's somebody who's been in a moldy house or a moldy job, it might take 6 months. If it's someone who's got heavy metals toxicity, it might be a year or 2.
So, Sean, when we're talking about that, are we talking about putting these guys on bone beef broth and they don't eat anything else for all that time? Or, I mean, do they eat a normal?
No. They eat a normal diet in the beginning. Some people maybe someone who's been in a biotoxic situation where they've been around mold or their leptin receptors. Leptin is the hormone that burns fat, tells your body to burn fat for energy. Maybe the leptin receptors are so burned out from the overload of toxicity and the chronic inflammation that now the person's obese. And so maybe in the beginning you're going to restrict things like sugars, not just table sugar, but even fruit and healthy sugars, maybe take away all grains in the beginning. And so, these are things that are going to be drastic changes, but over time, you're going to reintroduce a lot of that stuff. Now, you're going to want to not reintroduce things like...
Okay, hey, hold that thought and give us a teaser for when we come back from this break.
Okay, well, we'll talk about how, making just a few dietary changes can bring you significant long-term results. So we'll talk about that and then go on to other things.
Oh, that'll be great. That'll be fantastic. We're talking to our own Sean LaFave in the Geared for Wellness Corner. We're talking about denuding your body of toxins, and it's really not as difficult as you may think. So you need to be listening to Sean. It can be a not necessarily an unpleasant experience for you, and in the end result, makes you feel good. We'll be right back with Sean LaFave in the Geared for Wellness Corner right after these brief messages.
If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. Nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Lineberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchased high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza Live on the Street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 4:01 p.m. Pacific Time. It's currently 50 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny. Well, it's not sunny. It's liquid sunshine, California. And if you're listening to us on our globally syndicated network and you're in Paris, France, well, it's 39 degrees and it's overcast. And if you're in Rome, Italy, it's 54 degrees and you're mostly cloudy. And if you happen to be sitting in our studio or in Wichita, Kansas, you're really jealous of the people that are in Paris and Rome. But I can tell you this.
Yep.
If you're listening, you're about to learn something that is invaluable to you, and you're going to find out that staying healthy doesn't necessarily have to be an unbearable task. Sean, you got the microphone.
All right. So yeah, we were talking about, you asked the question, well, are they going to be on this harsh diet for the next year or two or whatever? Mm-hmm. And the short answer is no. The long answer is, in the beginning, you're going to make some changes. And for a lot of people, if you remember, the Atkins diet was really popular for a while.
I used to, that was the only diet that I thought, it was the only diet that I ever thought would ever work for me because it worked really well. The problem is that if I had a regular meal after being on it, I think I dumped a lot of weight, but one meal, I gained it all back again if I ate a decent meal. Now I found out that eating, moderately healthy and exercising, that's all you really need to do.
And that really is all you need to do. And unfortunately, that's not what most people do, which is why they get into the state that they're in, where they all of a sudden need someone like me to help them get back to where they need to be. Yeah. But I think one of the reasons why Atkins' diet was so successful, and I'm not a proponent of Atkins, I don't really care for his diet plan overall. I think it's got some good.
No, I think it killed him.
But, well, yeah, exactly. So there's that part too. But but what I think why it was so successful, at least for people in the beginning when they first started it, was you went on a very meat, protein, fat dependent diet, and that's very similar to what's now the ketogenic diet. But I think the factor that made it so successful was what it did was it removed not only sugar from people's diets, but it removed grains from people's diets. Well, I got something too in my throat. Sorry about that.
That's okay. You coming down with something?
Apparently so.
Hey, listen. Why don't I talk for a second, and you can get yourself a glass of water or something?
I'm good. Okay. I'll be fine.
Okay.
So it just gives all of a sudden this thing just like I breathe something in or something. That's
well, that's right. You're in Wichita, Kansas.
Yeah, I'm in Wichita, Kansas. We have all kinds of nasty stuff around here to breathe in. Well, thank God it's wintertime, so we don't have to deal with the mosquitoes. But no, removing grains, because the grains nowadays, and I'm talking especially corn. Corn is the worst of them all. Mm-hmm. It's almost all of it is GMO. It's heavily sprayed with pesticides and on, and plus it's high in omega-6s, which makes it just naturally pro-inflammatory. But then when you add the fact that it's GMO on top of the fact that it's sprayed with all these pesticides, it's going to really create a lot of inflammation. And that's where the real problem comes from, is people get into a chronic state of inflammation. When I'm saying inflammation, I mean inflammation down at the cellular level, stuff you can't see, not like I sprained my ankle and my ankle is swollen, or I got a bruise or something like that. It's cellular inflammation down, at a level that you can't even see it. But corn is the worst. Wheat is bad for two reasons. One, we have hybridized wheat, and it's definitely different than it was a couple hundred years ago, but it's not, the wheat in itself isn't as harmful in my opinion. I think we do have people who have wheat problems because of the change in the wheat structure, but I think the bigger problem is wheat is so heavily sprayed with pesticides that people are, they're getting the glyphosate when they eat the wheat, and I think it's the glyphosate. Glyphosate, by the way, is the Monsanto's name for Roundup, right? It's the key agent in Roundup pesticide that makes the pesticide work as well as it does.
I can't even imagine eating something that's been sprayed with Roundup. I mean, I've seen what Roundup does, but there's this thought out there. I was thinking about breads and white breads and potato breads and then wheat breads, and the average person still believes that wheat bread is the healthy bread to eat.
Yeah, they do, and unfortunately, the vast majority of wheat bread out there is just as bad as a white bread. Matter of fact, like your standard wheat bread that you would buy at the grocery store, 2 slices of wheat bread, if you say you make some toast or something out of it, and you eat that, that's going to metabolize in your body just as fast as table sugar will. So it's almost as bad as drinking like a can of Pepsi or something. It's because the surface area of the wheat structure is so large that your body's able to break it down really rapidly. What it does is gives you a massive spike in sugar. So you're actually almost better off eating table sugar than you are eating wheat bread. It's that bad.
Jesus.
Yeah. So wheat bread is really, like I can go to Europe, I can go to other countries, the Middle East or whatever, and I can eat their bread all day long, and it doesn't really seem to bother me. And part of it is because they use some of the more ancient grains, and part of it also, and part of it also is that it's not as processed too.
Yeah, they're not using. You know what? When you go to a boulangerie in France, what you're getting is fresh, non-processed breads that don't have preservatives or anything like that in it. The average French family, they walk down to the local boulangerie in the morning, they get their baguette, and they come home and they eat it with cheese, or they eat it with whatever they can eat it with, and it's gone. And the next morning they got to go replenish their supply.
Right, exactly. And the reason why it's gone the next morning is if you leave it set out for too long, it's going to grow mold and it's going to go bad.
Yeah.
And what we've done is we've made bread here in the United States that's not only filled with pesticides, but it's also filled with preservatives, so that you can buy a loaf of bread and it'll last for a week and a half or two sitting on your kitchen counter, which is just absurd. It shouldn't last that long. Yeah. So, if mold and bugs don't want to get to it, certainly it's not something you should, it's not something you should put in your body.
You ever heard about a visual comment? That's exactly what you did. You just did to me. You gave me this visual comment. I'm looking. I can actually see this slice of bread on the counter, and the bugs just going around it all over the place, but nowhere near that bread.
Nowhere near. That's true. They're not going to touch the bread because it's why if you have white flour, you can just take white flour, the stuff that's enriched, bleached white flour. You can take a bag of that and you can use it, and then just roll the top up and stick it in your kitchen cabinet. But you can't do that with whole grain, unprocessed wheat flour, because if you did, first the oils in the germ that's been smashed are going to go rancid. But on top of that, next time you open that bag, it's going to be filled with bugs. Because they're going to go after it, they're going to eat it. Where the white flour they won't touch. And so what we've done is we've taken the foods that normally should be good for us, and we've re-engineered them to give them shelf life, and that's just not healthy for us. It's created all these problems, and what it's led to is inflammation. So removing things like the grains, like I said, the pesticide glyphosate that's found in Roundup, you have in your gut. You've probably heard the term leaky gut. Mm-hmm. Like I said, the first thing that we address when a person has a toxic burden, body burden, is we address the gut, because glyphosate will open up what's called the tight junctions in your gut. So your gut has these things called tight junctions that are supposed to stop things from passing through the gut that aren't supposed to pass through. Well, glyphosate has the ability to actually kind of relax those and open those up, so things that aren't digested all the way will get through your gut wall, and that's where people end up with food allergies. It should be that your body digests the food, and then the stuff that the bugs, the bacteria digest it for you. The product that they create that's left over is what's supposed to absorb through the intestinal wall and go into your body and be used for energy or for nutritional value or whatever. Well, when you get these partially digested food products, they get in through those tight junctions. And now the body says, whoa, this isn't what's supposed to be here, and it sees it as a foreign invader, so it produces an antibody for it. And it could be something as simple as a wheat protein that was just never digested. And so now all of a sudden you'll go, I've got a wheat allergy. Well, you do now, but it wasn't because the problem was the wheat. The problem was the pesticides and the way the wheat was processed. And so it's not really, most people who say they have a wheat or a gluten sensitivity, it's not really that they have a gluten sensitivity, it's that their gut has been so trashed from the things that we've done to the wheat, that's what's causing the problem. And the same thing goes for meat too. It's what we've done to the cow that makes. We've discussed this before. It's what we do to the cow that makes the steak unhealthy for you. It's not the fact that steak is intrinsically unhealthy, because it's not. It's actually very healthy for you when it comes from a cow that's free range, grass fed, no antibiotics, no hormones or anything like that. And so making little changes for a person who's overall healthy, or maybe even just going, you know what, I'm not in poor health, but it isn't quite what I'd like it to be. I just don't have that edge, or I just don't feel quite as energetic. I don't have that, that pep to my step like I used to. Mm-hmm. Doing things like going, okay, you know what, I'm gonna stay away from the processed grains, or I'm gonna eat more organic foods, or I'm going to, instead of buying, the cheap steaks at the grocery store, I'm going to buy the organic grass-fed steaks. I'm going to buy the organic free-range chicken. I'm going to get the good eggs that are organic, no hormones and all that stuff. And people will start to see differences, because they're reducing their exposure to all of those toxins and all of those things that are creating the problem. And so now their body doesn't have to fight. It has a chance to replenish the tools that it needs to detoxify itself. And so really making little changes like that, everything from just reducing the amount of grains that you eat, or replacing them with healthier grains, or taking a really good one is the fats that we eat. We were told for decades that margarine was the better, healthier substitute for butter. Well, the truth, even mainstream media has finally come out and said, that's hogwash. It's not true. Butter is actually good for you. Yes, it's best if it comes from grass-fed cow, that's not treated with any type of bovine growth hormone or anything like that. But butter is a healthier food to eat than margarine, because margarines typically have been made with hydrogenated oils. There's some trans fats in there, and even the ones that aren't made with trans fat are still not a healthier option. Like canola oil is just not a healthy option, because the human body wasn't designed to take in those hydrogenated oils, trans fats. Canola oil is not a natural oil that our body got used to through thousands of years of evolution. It's the animal fats that we need. It's the fats from the eggs. It's the fats from avocados and nuts and seeds and milk and all these different things that our body is used to. And when you look at the couple of the most important parts of your body, the most important part of your body is your brain. Your brain is mostly made up of fat tissue, and that's mostly cholesterol and saturated fat. And so when we take away cholesterol and saturated fats and replace them with something like a hydrogenated oil or a trans fat or some sort of canola oil that comes from the rapeseed or maybe cottonseed oil or these different oils that we really don't naturally eat, our body doesn't quite know how to utilize it to replace things like brain function or to replace the every cell in your body has a cell membrane that around that cell membrane it's made up of a lipid bilayer. And again, just like your brain, it's mostly cholesterol and saturated fat. And so what happens is when you're eating fats that we're not supposed to eat, that margarine, the soybean oil, all these different oils that are so heavily used in our foods because they're cheap. Well, the body tries to use those to replace and replenish that cell membrane, but they don't work as efficiently, and so that cell membrane gets kind of gunked up. It gets kind of congested, and so now nutrition can't get into the cell, waste products can't get out of the cell, and that's where I come in, where I get the person where I go, okay, you know what? Here's where your problem is. You're all the way down to the cell level. You got this congestion, and now each individual cell is toxic. And what we got to do is we've got to replenish that cell membrane with good fats. We've got to give you the tools that your body has run out of to get the nutrients into the cell, get the toxins out of the cell, clean up that gunked up cell membrane, and really get into
So Sean,
cellular regeneration.
Sean, let me ask you this. I mean, because you're talking about what appears to be very technological, very physiological, what's going on here. When you're actually talking to someone, are you actually having to diagnose and focus in on a specific toxic matter that you're gonna be working on, or is it like when you do a detox, you're detoxing everything, not just one particular thing? Are you actually having to diagnose what it is? This guy comes in and says, "Hey, I'm lethargic. That's my problem. I'm lethargic." Is it always a detox that covers everything, or can you focus on a specific area?
Yeah, you can focus on specific areas. Generally, you're going to do a general detox that pulls out most things. If I nail it down and I go, this person maybe really just started getting sick or started feeling just, to come out lethargic, as you said, or just something started going wrong maybe in the last year or so, and it set on fairly quickly, then I'll start asking questions. I'll maybe say, at home, at work, at school, whatever, are you around mold? And they go, you know what, gosh, I just moved a year and a half ago, and the house that I'm in, we discovered mold, and we haven't had a chance to remediate it. Well, then what I'll do is I'll go, okay, it sounds like mold is your problem. Yeah. And so I'll just address the mold issue instead of trying to, hammer it away at everything that we can. And of course, the advice that you have to give at that point is you need to get your house fixed too, because if the mold is what's making you sick, you can't keep breathing that in. For some people, it might just be, we don't really know specifically what it is, so we'll kind of do for everything. The one toxin that I tend to get the best results from, because it's a more long-term detox process, but the one that I enjoy doing the most is actually detoxing people for heavy metals, and that's everything from lead, which we all grew up with lead, and mercury, which has been in all kinds of products that we've used. Aluminum, we used to cook. I remember having aluminum pots to cook in. There's nickel is a lot of nickel plated.
Sean, I'm a little confused because you were talking about detoxing from lead, and I remember a show. It's been a while now, where we were talking about lead poisoning. We were talking about Flint, Michigan, and all the mess that was going on there, and how there was an accumulative effect on that, and those people were never going to be able to get rid of that lead poisoning. But now you're saying that when you detox, you do get rid of some of the lead. Can you explain the differences between those two things?
Yeah. So with lead and any type of heavy metal, when you detox for lead, you're going to be pulling a lot of different metals, whether it's tungsten or cadmium or whatever. Mercury is another big one. Aluminum, of course, is a huge one. There's specific chelating agents, they're called. They're considered to be true binders that pull heavy metals, and there's a lot of them out there that people, when I talk about heavy metals, people who are kind of in the natural healthcare realm, especially if they're just self-taught, they'll start throwing out things like chlorella or maybe they'll talk about, some sort of clay, bentonite clay, or even cilantro, which is known to be a really effective heavy metals cleanser.
Okay. Let's stop right there because we've got to take a break. But you hit something that I actually consume a lot of, and when we come back, I'd like you to tell me that I'm doing a good job and not a bad job. So we're going to take a short break. We're going to come back. We're going to talk about these natural herbs and things that a person can take, including cilantro and maybe parsley and all the different kind of herbs. Let's concentrate on that a little bit and see if they are or are not good for you. Sean's going to tell us about it right after these brief messages, so don't go away.
Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses, website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful and visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make The Interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, Gentle Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39, a complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay. A great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino. Joel Saltzman is Dr. Wireless. He has turned his considerable expertise into consumer credit risk and wireless security into a highly specialized independent web-based consulting enterprise targeting consumer credit risk analysis and wireless transactional security and monitoring. He works as a wireless analyst, veteran independent agent, and consumer liaison for most wireless telecom carriers and equipment manufacturers. For more than 20 years, corporate and private clients and media audiences have counted on his unvarnished advice while weighing the technology, performance, and cost differences between Sprint, Nextel, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Joel specializes in setting up mobile wireless hotspots to be used for disaster preparedness, business continuity, and mobile wireless merchant processing solutions. Call Dr. Wireless at 310-400-4900 or go to his webpage at drwireless.com. Again, call 310-400-4900 or his webpage at drwireless.com. You'll be glad you did. And now, back to our show.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza Live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 4:23 p.m. Pacific time. It's currently, it's 50 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny, liquid sunny Southern California. And if you happen to be listening to us on our globally syndicated network and you're in London, England, it's 34 degrees and it's clear. If you're in Vienna, Austria, it's 34 degrees and it's mostly cloudy. You know what? No clouds over the head of our own Sean LaFave in his Gears for Wellness Corner. So, Sean, we were talking about cilantro and tarragon and mint and parsley and all those things. Now I have to admit, and I told you I eat a lot of cilantro, but it's because I make my own homemade salsa, and I put about 4 times more cilantro in it than it calls for because I just love cilantro. And you kind of indicated that was probably a good thing.
Yeah, it is. And, if you really look at different parts of the world and the foods that they eat, a lot of them incorporate different herbs into their foods. And of course, it tastes good, but the herbs also have great healing properties to them. And I firmly believe that's a big reason why, cultures, over 100 years ago were healthier than they are now, is because, they would take fresh cilantro and fresh tarragon and mint and dill and all those things you talked about, and they would put those in their foods, and it really brought all the healing oils and all the properties of the the enzymes and whatever else was in that herb, and it brought it into the food, and it not only made it taste good, but it made it healthier. And of course, nowadays we take herbs and we dry them up and we chop them up, and a lot of them are irradiated. The ones that you buy.
But I was talking. Yeah, I was actually thinking in terms of the fresh herbs. But you're right. They do have.
Yeah, but yeah. So what I'm saying is, again, we're back to the fact that we process our food instead of going out to the garden or going out into the wild even and hunting down wild asparagus. I think wild asparagus hunting season is coming up too, so I gotta get into that. But anyway, so cilantro, yes, I'm with you. I add way more cilantro to my salsa when I make homemade salsa than the vast majority of people do. And I just think cilantro is one of those things that I could just sit there and just eat it straight. It's just so good to me.
Oh yeah, cilantro and making pestos, and things. It's just
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
I love pesto. Yeah. I used to. In fact, I used to be known for my pesto. One of my favorite pesto recipes is, of course, you use the pine nuts and you use the olive oil and so on. But I would do 2 parts basil, 1 part cilantro, and 1 part parsley. And oh man, it was people would say, "Hey, are you going to make any more?" Because I'd make a big batch of it and then put it in little containers and give it to my friends. And they're like, "Hey, when are you going to make more pesto? This stuff is so good."
Well, you need to tell them you were thinking about putting it in a jar, putting a label on it with a price tag.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I know. That's what I should do. I could probably make more money than what I'm doing now. Cilantro is considered a heavy metals chelator.
I didn't know that. Is it limited? Is it limited just to that one leafy green? Just the cilantro?
Just it's limited to cilantro. Like it's not other herbs as well. But the thing with cilantro is it's really interesting. There's a lot of different things. Like even citrus pectin is considered a heavy metals chelator. But cilantro, a lot of people, you can buy cilantro encapsulated. But the problem with cilantro is it is a good chelator to a point, but it's also a very inconsistent chelator. And another thing about it is actually one of the amazing things about cilantro that you don't see in almost every other product out there is it can actually cross into the blood-brain barrier. And so,
is that good or bad?
It's a good thing if you're trying to pull metals out, but it's a bad thing if you have a heavy metals burden in your body and you're trying to get stuff out of your brain. If you get cilantro, it'll grab metals, but then it'll carry around for a while. Sometimes it'll pull it out of the body, and sometimes it'll drop it and it'll get redistributed. So the last thing you want, heavy metals in your body are bad enough. The heavy metals in your brain is 100 times worse. So cilantro, along with other like alpha lipoic acid, is considered a good chelator. But again, it's not a true binder. So what both of those can do is they can pick up heavy metals that say in your fatty tissues in your body, get in the bloodstream, cross into the blood-brain barrier, go into the brain, and then go, "Hey, no, I'm done here," and they drop it, and then they leave. And now you've got a bigger problem than you had before. And so we tell people, be careful with herbal stuff, because herbal stuff can get you in trouble if it's done wrong. And even things like, bentonite clay and chlorella, the things that you can take that people say, well, I take this because it binds to heavy metals, like that guy with the chocolate. I'll give him at least a little bit of credit, and maybe his chocolate would bind to heavy metals if it was in a Petri dish. Mm-hmm. And so maybe it would bind to something that was stuck in the gut, and it would pull it out of it was already in the gut. But it's not going to get into the cells, it's not going to get into the brain, and so on. And so the problem is that a lot of people they'll get these programs that they think they're doing good for themselves, and they end up actually making themselves worse because they're taking a chelator that's not a true binder. There's a couple of them out there. I used to use a product a lot called DMSA. It's dimercaprosacetic acid. It's a sulfur-based bond of amino acids that does a really good job. The problem is it can't cross into the blood-brain barrier, but it's a really good binder. But you also have to take it every 4 hours. If you don't, you take it, let's say I just took like a bunch of it and then didn't do anything else. Well, what it'll do is it'll go start grabbing heavy metals, it'll stir them all up, and then they'll redistribute in the body, and all of a sudden your symptoms become exacerbated. And so it's not necessarily the safest thing in the world. There's a zeolite. A lot of people use zeolites. Zeolites, a lot of them, zeolite, the word zeolite literally means boiled stone. And so what they do is they literally take a stone, and through a boiling process, through a hydrolyzation process, they actually break the stone down into a powder, and it's really good at binding to heavy metals. And so zeolites are used for oil spills and all kinds of other toxic spills, and they are a good binder. But the problem is that most of them can't get into the cell, and there's only one that I know that can get into the blood-brain barrier. And that's one is actually, it's a zeolite, but it's even one step further. It's what's called a clinoptilolite. And this thing is unbelievable. It will go into the cell, it will go into the blood-brain barrier, and once it grabs, it never lets go of heavy metals. And then eventually it goes out, and you just pee it out. It goes out through your urine. And it's currently the safest known method for detoxing specifically for heavy metals. So when I detox someone for heavy metals, I use that product. It's funny because I had a new client that I just got Monday, and I get this question fairly frequently, and she said, well, do I have to use your products? And I said, well, no, you don't have to, but then I'm not going to help you either. And the reason is because I don't know every product out on the market, and I only use the products that I know work and the ones that I know work the best. If it doesn't work, or if there's something better on the market, then I'm going to use something else, and if I can't find something to do what I want done, I just won't sell anything for that specific reason. And so, it's kind of an interesting, dynamic, because people, they want to believe that you're helping them, but they've also got in the back of their mind, okay, this guy said he's going to help me, but now he wants me to buy, $300 or $400 worth of supplements, that he's going to sell me, and he's saying these are the ones you need to use. And there are some people out there that will just literally, that's their thing, is they just want to move product. Like I said, that's what you get with your multi-levels and a lot of other, even brick and mortar businesses. But for me personally, I wouldn't use any other product to detox for heavy metals than this specific clinoptilolite. And so when you're detoxing for heavy metals, you want to make sure it's done in a very proper way. And like I said, I love detoxing for heavy metals more than anything else. It's a very simple process, but it's a very lengthy process. And you've got to do it right. It's not hard, but you've got to follow. You've got to cycle it. You take the chelator, 1 week on, 1 week off. You've got to support minerals because you're going to pull minerals out of your body. You've got to support glutathione production, which is, like I said, that antioxidant that your body produces. You've got to support the liver function. You've got to support kidney function. You've got to support the gut while you're doing all this.
So you could actually do by self-treating. Maybe just going to a health food store and asking some guy behind the counter, and you're not really getting a professional's help. You could actually do harm to yourself by denuding your body of all of these water soluble vitamins and minerals and things that you absolutely need for your organs to function.
Right, exactly, yeah. And there's a lot of people that do that exact same thing. and they usually end up eventually coming to someone like me, because they have tried it on their own, and they just go, this isn't working. I'm getting worse. Or they'll come to me and they'll go, well, I tried all that and it didn't work. And I'll go, who did you try it with? Well, I went to the store. Okay, you did it on your own. Trust me, that's like trying to give yourself an appendectomy. It's just not going to work very well. Maybe it's possible, I suppose, but I wouldn't try it. Yeah. So it's one of those things, like you said, go to a professional. We've had this conversation with people, coming to you for accounting stuff, and they're like, well, can you give me a discount? Well, sure. What part of your taxes do you not want filled out? Or which one do you want to do yourself and then screw up? They come to you because they know that they can't do it themselves. And a lot of people think that, Google has all the answers, and it's got a lot of the answers. And trust me, I love Google. But if someone asks me a question about something and I don't know the answer, I'm usually going to go through about probably 15 or 20 different scholarly articles that I find online. Yeah. Before I come up with an answer that makes sense. I don't just go to, the first page of 10 articles and go through those and go, yep, I got the answer. There's a lot of hogwash out there on the internet and a lot of it. I see places like businesses that have, full-on detox programs, and I go through and I read what they're doing, and I'm going, gosh, I can't believe that people actually continue to come to them. They must not get any referrals, or very few, because I look at their programs, so I'm thinking, man, half the people that come to me would get sicker if they did this person's program. So yeah, it's very, very easy to mess yourself up with a detox program. Some people will do it and they'll feel better initially. They'll go, gosh, it worked. And all of a sudden they'll crash really hard and they'll go, okay, now what's wrong with me? And you might not even realize that they did it to themselves. So it's definitely, when you're going to go through a detox program, definitely get someone who knows what they're doing, because it is easy to make a mistake and make yourself sicker. In fact, we were just talking about this in a call that I had yesterday with my team meeting. About you got to find that balance to where you detox people, but at the same time, you don't want to detox them so fast that they feel bad, and that's what a lot of people associate detox with. They go, gosh, I just feel so horrible. That's because you're detoxing too fast, or maybe you didn't address the phases of detox. This is the way I look at it. Like I talk about, doing the gut, the kidneys, livers. Hopefully you only have one. The gut, kidneys, and liver. You address that first. And the way I look at detox is, you want to get all the way into the cell level, okay? But there's also phases along the way, steps along the way, and I look at getting stuff out of the cell the same way I would the trash can that you have in your house. Nobody wants trash in their house. They always want to take the trash out. Yeah. But you've got, if you live in an apartment, you take it out to the dumpster. If you live in a house, you take it out to the big trash cans that go out to the street, and eventually the trash man comes and takes them away. Well, if he doesn't exist, or he's broken down, or he's not working right, or whatever, well, what do you do with your trash? You take it out of the house and you just dump it on the front lawn, and now you got a whole new problem. And of course, and then there's the phase where the trash man has got to take it to the landfill. Well, what if the landfill is full, or it's closed, or it doesn't exist? Well, what's he going to do? Take the stuff to Oklahoma or to Nevada and dump it out there?
Wichita. We're going to take it to Wichita.
They're going to bring their trash all to Wichita.
Absolutely. And now that we found a place to take it, what are we going to talk about next Tuesday? Because we're out of time.
I tell you what, these, my shows with you are always like my first dates. I never get. They're always end too soon. I never get as far as I hoped I would. Anyway, next week we can continue talking about detox, because I'm not finished.
All right, and that makes all the sense in the world. My friend, have a wonderful weekend. Stay safe, stay happy, and make everybody around you glad that they are, will you?
Same to you, Robert. Thanks. I had a good time.
All right, you take care. And the rest of you folks, stick around, because when we come back, we're going to be talking about the birthdays for the day, the secret daily teaching for your life, and interesting but useless facts. We got a lot of stuff for you, so don't go away.
If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. Nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Lineberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchased high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza Live on the street at the intersection of business and politics, where at 4:41 p.m. Pacific time, it is currently 51 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. If you're listening to us on our globally syndicated network and you happen to be listening in Madrid, Spain, well, it's 45 degrees and it's clear. And if you're in Tokyo, Japan, listening to our show, you're lucky because it's 44 degrees and it's clear. But right now, what I want to talk to you about is the secret daily teaching for your life. And you know what? This is all about a positive mental attitude. You've heard me talk about it all the time. You decide how your life is going to go. Nobody else does. You do. You decide every day whether you're going to be rich or poor, or happy or sad, if you're going to be successful or a failure. You actually decide that the people around you are going to be happy too. You do it every morning. When you get up in the morning, you look in the mirror and you say, wow, I'm going to have a prosperous, productive, fantastic day today, and we are going to have a great time, and everybody around me is going to have a great time too. You decide all those things are going to go. No one else does. Well, our teaching for today is, if you have held thoughts in the past that the only way money can come to you is through your job, you know what? Then let that go immediately. Can you appreciate that you continue to think that? It must be your experience. Well, such thoughts do not serve you. You've got to have a positive mental attitude about where your money's going to come from, where your happiness is going to come from, where your fulfillment is going to come from. And it's going to come from a positive mental attitude. That's just the way it's going to be. Well, you know what today is. I know what today is. Today is Thursday. It's January the 12th, and it's somebody's birthday. And we've got some terrific birthdays today. Let's just start off with this guy, born 1944, a popular champion, most famous for his trilogy of heavyweight championship fights with Muhammad Ali. Happy birthday, Joe Frazier. Yes, sir. And here's another guy that we all know about. You may like him, you may not like him. He was born in 1951, a radio host and conservative commentator. Happy birthday, Rush Limbaugh. And then finally, same kind of a situation, born in 1954, radio and media personality, most notable for being described by the media as a shock jock. Happy birthday, Howard Stern. Yes, sir. Well, you ever wonder what was going on today in history? Don't wonder any longer, because I'm about to tell you. Sit down in your comfy chair, get yourself a cocktail. Well, you probably won't have time. This won't take that much time. But listen to this. On January the 12th, 1915, the Rocky Mountain National Park is formed by an act of the United States Congress. And on this date in 1915, the United States House of Representatives rejects a proposal to give women the right to vote. Whoa, how far have we come? And in 1998, 19 European nations agree to forbid human cloning. Oh, that was probably a good move, right? Well, on this date in 2004, the world's largest ocean liner, the RMS Queen Mary II, makes its maiden voyage. Yeah, and broke some time barriers for that as well. Yeah. How about this? What's our quote for today? Well, our quote for today comes from Ralph Waldo Emerson, and he says, "We must be our own before we can be another's." Yeah, think about it. It's prolific. That's a good thing to be thinking about. Well, you know what? It's time for us to talk about those interesting but useless facts. We got a few minutes, and so we're going to go ahead and do that. Did you know that the month of July is named after Julius Caesar? The month of August is named after Augustus Caesar. Yeah, I think they had an edge on these things. Did you know that there are two types of asparagus? Green and white. Now, one of the most popular varieties of green asparagus is named after Martha Washington, the wife of George Washington. Did you know that? Yeah, absolutely. Try this on for size. At the distance at which our sun is located from the center of the Milky Way galaxy, Earth and the rest of our solar system are moving at a speed of about 170 miles per second around the center. Wow. Can you imagine that? Yeah. Did you know that curvy hips indicate smart women who will deliver intelligent children? I'm going to just go right past that, just in case my wife's listening. I don't want to go into that. How about this? Did you know that all the proceeds earned from James M. Barrie's book, Peter Pan, were bequeathed to the Great Ormond Street Hospital for the sick children in London? Wow. Can you imagine? And to this day, they're still getting bequeathments. Hey, a white tiger can only be born when both parents carry the gene for white coloring. Okay? How about this one? Michael DiLorenzo, who plays Eddie Torres on New York Undercover, is one of the lead dancers in Michael Jackson's Beat It video. Now, that's kind of interesting. Let me give you one more here. Let's see. How about most people know what pH means, but few people know that it stands for pondus hydrogeny, which means potential hydrogen, and that each unit is a phaedron. I didn't know it. I'm sure you didn't know it. I'm pretty sure I didn't care. How about this? A large swarm of locusts can eat 80,000 tons of corn a day. Wow. Can you imagine? How about this? Snails have teeth They are arranged in rows along the snail's tongue and are used like a file to saw or slice through the snail's food. Yeah, I wouldn't kid you. That's the truth, guys. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to give you one more. Although experts often disagree, there is a scientific evidence which shows that the domestication of dogs could have occurred more than 15,000 years ago. Yeah, now that is really something. Well, look, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to do our tribute to the late, great Paul Harvey and the rest of the story. And you know what? The story today is McKeeby's portrait. You're not going to want to miss it. This is going to be a really interesting story. We'll be right back after these brief messages.
Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses, website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful and visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make The Interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, Gentle Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39, a complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay. A great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino. Joel Saltzman is Dr. Wireless. He has turned his considerable expertise into consumer credit risk and wireless security into a highly specialized independent web-based consulting enterprise targeting consumer credit risk analysis and wireless transactional security and monitoring. He works as a wireless analyst, veteran independent agent, and consumer liaison for most wireless telecom carriers and equipment manufacturers. For more than 20 years, corporate and private clients and media audiences have counted on his unvarnished advice while weighing the technology, performance, and cost differences between Sprint, Nextel, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Joel specializes in setting up mobile wireless hotspots to be used for disaster preparedness, business continuity, and mobile wireless merchant processing solutions. Call Dr. Wireless at 310-400-4900 or go to his webpage at drwireless.com. Again, call 310-400-4900 or his webpage at drwireless.com. You'll be glad you did. And now, back to our show.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza Live on the Street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 4:52 p.m. Pacific time. Coming down to the wire, it's 51 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. And if you're listening to us on our globally syndicated network and you're in Sydney, Australia, well, it's 84 degrees and it's clear. It's also tomorrow morning at about 11:52. And if you're listening to us in Lisbon, Portugal, it's 54 degrees and it is clear. You know what? And it's 12:52 a.m. tomorrow. Well, you know what? It's time for us to do our tribute to the late, great Paul Harvey and the rest of the story. Yep, you know what? The American Broadcasting Company calls him the biggest voice in America. He's Paul Harvey, and each week millions of listeners, viewers, and readers, they awaited his unraveling of the mysteries of events in the lives of people past and present. Heard on over 1,400 radio stations, seen on 110 television stations, and he was read in 300 newspapers. The rest of the story has for years been exploring the byways of history with revelations that are intriguing, amusing, and surprising. Well, you know what? Today's story from Paul is McKeeby's portrait. You know what? Almost everyone in Cedar Rapids, Iowa knew him. He was B.H. McKeeby, the town's leading dentist. Dr. McKeeby was a modest, quiet, conservative man, not at all the sort who would boast of himself or his accomplishments. So you can imagine why he was reticent at first when one of his patients, a young man called Gus, asked to paint Dr. McKeeby's portrait. Gus was as much a friend as a patient. Now, he had helped to decorate Dr. McKeeby's office and his home. And because Gus's teeth had had no early care, he provided a long-standing professional challenge to Dr. McKeeby. Thus was the symbiotic nature of their relationship. But a portrait? Dr. McKeeby wasn't too sure about that. Why would Gus want to paint him anyway? Gus assured the doctor that his face was one of a kind. And those hands, Gus would say, so long and large and strong, Dr. McKeeby was, according to Gus, the ideal artistic subject. And what did Gus have in mind for this portrait? The doctor wanted to know. What Gus had in mind, well, that is the rest of the story. When Gus confided the theme of his intended painting to Dr. McKeeby, the respectable dentist politely, flatly refused to pose. Gus observed that the doctor was responding out of shyness more than anything else. And if it would make Dr. McKeeby feel any better, Gus assured him he would be painted in such a way that no one would ever recognize him. Well, on that condition, and still not quite certain how much artistic camouflage was possible, Dr. McKeeby reluctantly agreed to sit for the portrait. You've guessed the rest. When the painting was actually finished, everyone, including especially Dr. McKeeby, recognized Dr. McKeeby. His atypical pose in uncharacteristic clothes was insufficient to disguise Cedar Rapids' foremost dentist. Not even the portrait's anomalous setting could distract from Dr. McKeeby's unmistakable visage, I should say. Gus just shrugged. Somehow he had thought his friend would remain publicly disassociated from the painting. After all, you didn't know it was Dr. McKeeby until now. For Gus was the artist's nickname. His sister called him that. His sister also appears in the portrait with their family dentist. And just as Gus had promised Dr. McKeeby that he had also promised his sister that she would not be recognized, that the atypical severity of her posed expression would belie her identity as well. In 1930, the Art Institute of Chicago bought Gus's painting for $300. Yeah. Well, it hangs there still, and over these nearly 50 years, it has remained perhaps the best known and most culturally significant masterwork by an American artist. Subsequently, a vehicle for merciless satire. From primetime comedy to cornflakes commercials, the portrait, which appears to depict a stern, solemn-faced, side-by-side Iowa farm couple, had somewhat a satirical origin itself. For the real-life Iowa farmers of the 1930s intuitively sensed the incongruous characterizations without realizing what you now know. Gus, whom you remember as Grant Wood, simply couldn't find any farmers whose faces pleased him. So he selected his sister and his dentist, Dr. McKeeby, who had never before held a pitchfork in his life. Their portrait is known as the American Gothic. Yeah, and now you know the rest of the story. Well, you know what? Don't miss tomorrow's show, because on tomorrow's show, we're going to have another tribute to the late, great Paul Harvey. And the name of the story is Amazing. And you know what? The story is amazing. It's one that you're just not going to want to miss. Now, I want to encourage you to get our app. It's absolutely free. Just go to your app store and search Robert Cardoza Live. The app is absolutely free. Download it. That way you can listen to our show anytime you want, 24/7, and listen to all of our shows. They're all going to be right there. And you know what? If we're broadcasting live, you can listen to us live, even chat with us live if you're so inclined, the way we're doing the show right now. Now, I want to remind you that on my next show, John Matthews, Joe Hakos, and I, we're going to be talking about conservative politics tomorrow on our semi-weekly simulcast. And then David Garrett will be here with Garrett on the Law. That's always a good segment. And then I'll contribute, like I said, our tribute to the late, great Paul Harvey and the rest of the story. Please tell all your friends about my show here on the RLC Broadcasting Network. You'll be glad they did. They'll be glad they did. And I'll be glad they did.
That's our show for today. Beginning today, treat everyone you meet as if they were going to be dead by midnight. Extend them all the care, kindness, and understanding that you can muster. Your life will never be the same again. So many of our dreams at first seem impossible, then they seem improbable, and then when we summon the will, they soon become inevitable. You know, the real secret of happiness is to make others believe that they're the cause of it. Robert Cardoza Live is brought to you by blogtalkradio.com every Monday through Friday from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. Now, go out and make it a great day. Your host has been Robert Cardoza, the technical advisor, Matchstick Digital, and your executive producer, also Robert Cardoza.